Hey, what's going on, Maschine Masters? My name is MGTheFuture. Thank you for joining us today. Today's video is going to be a little bit about J. Cole's new album, KOD, but in particular, the single Kevin's Heart. The first thing I noticed when I heard that song is that somebody, cough, T-, was dabbling in the lo-fi, especially the bitrate reduction, so you know I was excited about that. But when listening to it a few more times, I noticed the lo-fi itself really didn't catch me. It was the chords he was using. And what ended up happening is I started to think like, yo, I've heard this before, or not necessarily heard that before, but I felt it before. And then that made me go into my mental Rolodex of all the R&B songs and chord progressions I know. And I went down this downward spiral. So I want to kind of figure out what the heck that is on video so I can share it with you guys as well, as also show you one of the plugins that give us that bitrate reduction. So I'm going to play a piece of this song sped up through YouTube settings so you can hear what I'm talking about.
There at the screen a while before I press decline, but she plants a seed and it still lingers in my mind. Told myself I'm strong enough to shake it and I'm trying.
So what I'm talking about is when the chord goes boom, 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 that walk or that turnaround, sometimes gospel musicians will call it, it's very common in a lot of music. So my brain goes, maybe it's the Kendrick Lamar connection with the Janet Jackson Anytime Any Place sample, which we heard of Poetic Justice, right? And that kind of does it. So let me speed this up and see if that was it. It does it right there. So that does it. Then I start thinking even more. I was like, well, Janet Jackson's I Get So Lonely is pretty much the same thing, right? Like this is all post Jam and Lewis era. It did it right there. So that does it. Then I said, all right, SWV Rain does it. Let's speed this one up as well, 1.5. It did it right there. Then I really thought about it. I was like, I think Aaliyah Come Over is doing it too. Let's peep game on that right here. Yeah. So my conspiracy on what this is that this era of music has always transcended. I like to call them super chords. These artists, these vibes, these progressions, and the producers that are the cause of them have always transcended radio. So with Max Martin, Dr. Luke has the same 4 chords that we're used to hearing in pop radio. Our R&B side does too. It's just kept low key. Because before any of this, we had these chords, which Chris Brown and other acts a few years ago were using a whole lot. And then for some reason that got played out. And here we are today with these new ones. Let's figure out what's so magical about these chords. The one I'm going to use is from Janet Jackson's, the one I haven't heard done before yet. Cool. So I'm bringing that into Melodyne. So I'm going to have to loop it since it's such a shortcut. But this chord progression right here, this 1, this 2, that's 3. I need to figure out those, and then this way, if I know what the number is or the relationship is, I can kind of just throw it in anything, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and go to File, export this as a MIDI file. Fruity Loops gets really funny about MIDI exported from Ableton for some reason. So hopefully this works out for me. Let's go ahead and minimize that. Let's go ahead and get rid of Edison where that chop was. I'm gonna go ahead and open up Scalar so Scalar can analyze it. And of course, we'll have a piano sound. And then I'll right click, go into Piano Roll, File, Import MIDI file, and go ahead and grab that. It actually came into the project okay. And it is between the 4 measures like I need it. I'm gonna get rid of this time signature. All right, so now in Scalar itself, I wanna go into detect mode. And what's important here is that a lot of FL Studio users have reached out to me saying, hey, my detect mode isn't working. What you wanna do is make sure you go to pluginboutique.com and go to your user area where your downloads are and download 1.2.1 again. When they originally did the update, they released the wrong build. So they went ahead and fixed it, but we weren't alerted to that fact. So if you haven't updated it as of this video, even if you have 1.2.1 already, go ahead and do that again and your detect mode should work again. So detect, start, and we'll just play it from the top. So in these mess of chords and single notes, we have that progression. So I'm gonna do D minor, so that's gonna be on the 1. So it's 7 to 1 to 3. Instead of a 2-5-1. There we go. All right, so we got a 1-7-1-6. And then it goes out of key on the 5. And the problem is you can't predict that key switch on the 5. This 5 chord. At least in Phrygian mode. Let's see if we have any regular major or minor scales it could be. In fact, let me save this first. I'm looking for a minor scale. It could be G minor as well. And I think we can even transpose them while we're here too, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna try C sharp minor actually, if we can get to it. because that's what all the cool kids are doing. So let me clear that. Let's go ahead and change our scale highlight real quick under helpers. I should have did this to begin with because I wanted it to be different so it could be challenging and also to see if that 5 works. But that doesn't apply to these chords, that's going to apply to these new ones. Now what I want to do, after I save it, because we're still in beta, we're going to go to Easy Keys and drag that progression into Easy Keys and give it some flair. Let's export MIDI, drag it into Easy Keys. We're not going to transpose anything. We'll import it. I'll zoom in on this, bring it to the beginning. I'll mute scalar so we don't hear it. And I want to play it within Easy Keys and get the spacing and timing correct. All right. So I think I got a struggle progression ready. So what I want to do is I want to drag that into its own instrument. So I'm going to go ahead and use Omnisphere for this because I just like the way that texture is on a patch they have called Just a Simple Dream Piano. So this piano sounds like this. And the only thing I'm concerned with now, once I have these chords and I understand that progression, I have it saved in scalar, is making sure this timing is right. Because it feels a bit off. This is faster than it needs to be. It's not in double time. So I'm probably going to do is extend these notes by selecting all and dragging it all the way to the end here. And then what you do is turn your metronome on and just play it straight through the pattern. So all of this definitely needs to come back. And then for this part, I'm gonna move this over a bit. Let's grab all these, move this to the end. I think I could chop all of this. Perfect. So the struggle was worth it. We're gonna extend that. I still feel odd about this transition, but that is the transition that I wanted. So now what I wanna do is set that to its own mixer channel. We'll make this track number 2. That'll be a piano. And then I'm going to use one more Omnisphere to figure out this bass line. And for this, we know we're in the right scale highlight, so we have a lot of different options. What I would do is just trace the bottom set first. So we want this to be a double kick type situation. And we're going to double kick again here. And I'm probably going to walk down here. There's a song by Janae Aiko called Sativa, and they walk down the bass line like this as well. Move them up an octave. Or I might walk up to here and then drop it down. We actually don't need that. And then you can take the metronome off, rebalance your levels and everything, draw it into your song mode. I'm gonna save it real quick. I'm gonna create a new pattern for the drums. So you end up getting something that feels or sounds like this. Now on the lo-fi part, tons of plugins. I think RC20 would be our best bet for that reduction. So I'm gonna use vinyl first. We're gonna use digital and we're gonna use rate first and see if that does it. Smooth it out. And then we want to filter it. So the easiest way to filter is probably gonna be low filter, right? And then on the entire thing, I'm gonna put VOLF to tie the drums in with that vibe as well. In VOLF, we have additional options where we can change the amount of the noise, which will be digital. Boom. So to review, To get that vibe, those magical chords that we use in R&B, what we're actually talking about or looking at is the chord progression 7, 1, 6 at the beginning of a chord progression. And I'm assuming because it's using 1 here, you start with 1. So no matter what key you're in, you go from 1 to 7, back to 1, up to 6. And then you can end on this 3 or a 5 in a different scale if you wish, because that 2, 5, 1 magic is in there somewhere. I'm going to figure it out. And when I do, I'm going to come back and do another tutorial on that. But anyway, I'm MGTheFuture. I want to thank you guys for checking us out on the Maschine Masters today. If you got comments, questions, or concerns, definitely leave them in the box below. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do that. I'm at MGTheFuture. Also follow at Maschine Masters. Until next time, guys, peace.